All right, welcome to the Let It Fly show. I am Michael Severe. Josh Jones is not here with me today. We have a very special guest, and we'll tell you about that in just a minute. First, we want to thank our presenting sponsor, Bud Light, for making it easy to drink, easy to enjoy, easy to watch sports and have your beer game right when it comes to Bud Light, our presenting sponsor of the Let It Fly show. And of course, the Let It Fly Sports Bar, 3 locations currently with more to come. Of course, right here in beautiful Capital District, downtown Omaha, and out in La Vista, which is a nice little area over there in the city center, and then out west, Let It Fly West. All 3 locations with great specials every single day, including during happy hour, 3 to 6, right. And then reverse happy hour, which is 10 to 1, which is, of course, the late night hours here where you get great deals. And every single day, there is a special. We're taping this on a Tuesday. So you got great Taco Tuesdays on Tuesday. And then you got Dollar Wing Wednesday on Wednesday. And then Thursday's got your steak and frites and pizzas on Friday. It's great specials every single day here at Let It Fly Sports Bar. Okay, our guest this week. Excited about this one. Been trying to get him on for a little while. Dave Tollefson, who I talked to years ago, a couple times, had him on some podcasts, did some things with him. Of course, 2-time Super Bowl winner with the New York Giants, Northwest Missouri grad, and of course now he is the defensive analyst with the defensive line for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. We'll talk to Dave about that job, how he ended up doing it, and what he thinks of the defensive line heading into a very interesting season for Matt Rhule. New defensive coordinator and Rob Orich, new defensive line, new defensive ends coach or rush ends coach, new offensive line. There's a lot happening in terms of the newness of this coaching staff and players as well. We'll talk to Dave about all of that coming up. But first, let's do some headlines. Number 1, of course, Michigan wins the national title. Very sad for me because I don't like Michigan, but that means the Big Ten won both the men's and women's basketball title. Don't see that happen very often, unless it's the Big East when UConn has won it, each. What's interesting about it is, so obviously the Big Ten won the college football playoff, and you had Indiana, right, who had never done this before, never won a national championship. In the women's game for basketball, you had a UCLA team that had never won a championship in women's basketball either. Crazy. And it had been since 1989 since Michigan won a national championship in basketball. So not only is the Big Ten winning these championships, but they're doing it with the more unlikely teams. It'd be one thing if this was Ohio State winning it, right? And you'd be like, okay, Ohio State wins in football, that happens. And in basketball, well, it's been so long since the Big Ten won. Actually, technically, the last time the Big Ten won a title would have been Maryland. But, of course, Maryland wasn't in the Big Ten at the time. So you really got to go way back to Michigan State for the last real win by a Big Ten team before Michigan won last night. They beat UConn 69-63. It was really a rugby scrum. It wasn't a basketball game. I got so annoyed watching the way the game was being officiated or the lack of the way it was being officiated. I turned it off. It's about 3 minutes to go. I think it was a 9-point game at the time. I was like, I don't need to watch this anymore. It's brutal to watch. I can't deal with watching it. That's the thing about this tournament and Elite Eight and Final Four. Yes, we've had a couple of games that were good. Sure, we had a couple buzzer beaters. Kentucky hits that buzzer beater to send into overtime. And Nebraska gets to the rim with Braden Frager and scores, and then shots missed the other direction by Tennessee. Yes, Vanderbilt. But for the most part, it's been a lot of ugly basketball. And this Final Four certainly has been ugly basketball. The women's Final Four was ugly basketball with South Carolina beating up on UConn and then UCLA beating up on South Carolina. Got the same thing pretty much here. A little bit closer game being a 6-point game, but still wasn't competitive for much of the game. Anyway, it's sad when we don't get the March Madness that we hope for. And I'm sure Michigan fans or people who are Big Ten fans that only cheer for Big Ten teams, they probably are happy about the whole thing. But in general, for watching it, the watchability factor just wasn't there this year. Headline number 2, college basketball transfer portal has opened up. It opened up midnight after the game ended with UConn and Michigan. Here's what we know so far locally. Quentin Rimes, who was a redshirt at Nebraska, has decided to enter the transfer portal. Tuesday, as I said, 2-week transfer portal opened up at midnight, and Rhymes is the first Nebraska player to go into the portal. As for Creighton, Owen Freeman. This was expected by almost anybody. Owen Freeman played with Iowa, had a really nice year 2 years ago. He comes to Creighton. He comes with an injury. He gets a second injury, just doesn't play well. Owen Freeman ended up being 5 points a game and 4 rebounds, was in 26 games, but only started 9 of them. Not a surprise that he's deciding to move on and play somewhere else after a really disappointing year with Creighton. Sophomore guard Ty Davis, who's played in a lot of games and who I thought after last year had a chance to really be a 6th, 7th man that got a good amount of minutes. He has decided to go into the transfer portal. 6'4", he's out of Alabama, as you know. 61 games he's appeared in over 2 seasons. He did have 13 starts, mainly at the end of last year. Averaged 1.1 points and 1 assist. About 9 minutes a game, so he's gone in. Junior big man, local kid out of Creighton Prep, Josh Townley Thomas, entering the portal as well. Played for Creighton Prep. Then his dream, he said, was to go to Creighton and get in that uniform. He walked on after 1 season at North Platte Community College. Then he redshirted that year in 23-24, and now 10 games in 24-25, total 4 points, 2 rebounds, and a steal in 10 minutes played. So he moves on to his next location. And then one more. Now, this isn't a Creighton player or a Nebraska player. It is a former Nebraska player, Nick Janowski, who was redshirted at Nebraska last year, went to St. Thomas in Minnesota, played there, had a really good year. 16 points, 5.5 rebounds. He was first team All-Summit. There are people that are out there saying, well, maybe he'll come back to Nebraska after being at Nebraska, leaving, getting his game right, and now they can use the body. Maybe he decides to come back, but he is going to be heading into the portal. And then the number 3 headline, kind of a sad one. Well, definitely a sad one. Tough Tony Davis, long time, obviously Nebraska player, played in the NFL as well. He was one of those first guys, former players, to really get involved in the media. He got involved with message boards, the guys who worked with Huskers Illustrated before Huskers Illustrated worked with Tony, and they kind of had a message board, and they had, they followed recruiting. It was one of the first ones out there, and he was a part of that. Husker broadcaster Lyle Brimser called him, Tough Tony is a good nickname, but he called him the Tecumseh Tornado, being that he was from Tecumseh, Nebraska. He was the MVP of the January 1st, 1974 Cotton Bowl. December 31st, of 1974 was when that Sugar Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. So both of those, he's both in the Hall of Fame for both those bowls, the Nebraska Football Hall of Fame as well. And, of course, many of you probably remember Josh Davis, his son, who played from 2000 to 2004 as a running back for Nebraska. But Tony succumbed to Parkinson's, had been sick, and passed away. He was 73 years old, and funeral arrangements are pending for Tough Tony Davis, who passed away on Sunday, as I mentioned, from complications of Parkinson's. Coming up, as we said, former NFL defensive lineman, won 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants. He's really, and we'll get into this with him, you want to talk about a story of perseverance. It's one thing for you to get injured and miss a season. It's another thing to get injured and miss 2 seasons. Imagine missing 3 full seasons, going out and working a job like in construction, making your way back to college, having enough success where you're drafted in the NFL, then have a bunch more injuries, nothing for the first few years of your career, and all of a sudden you end up on a Giants team that wins 2 Super Bowls. That's sticking with it. That's perseverance. That's what Dave Tollefson is. We will talk to Dave when we come back here on Let It Fly Show. All right, welcome back to the Let It Fly Show. We are joined by former NFL defensive lineman, 2-time Super Bowl champ, and now working as a defensive analyst with the defensive line with the University of Nebraska. Dave Tollefson joining us here on Let It Fly Show. How you doing, man?
Yeah, doing great. Just kind of been on the road a little bit, doing some different stuff, and then obviously coaching Power 4 football at one of the crown jewel institutions in the country. So been a little more busy than I probably normally am this time of year.
Well, what were you doing right before the bowl game, they needed some help with some changes. You come in to help the defensive line. What were you doing at that point when Coach Rhule called you?
Our kind of youth season, I coach my boys.
Yeah.
Obviously,
How old are they?
I have a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old.
Okay.
I was coaching at Iowa Western years ago. Aaron Terry, I helped him get the job there. So that was kind of my little foot into doing some college stuff at the time, outside of coaching my son. So, like, I'd go over to Iowa Western every couple weeks, do some game planning stuff, just kind of stay busy. And I was duck and goose hunting. I just got a new dog, named her Bo Jackson. She's awesome. So, like, I was duck and goose hunting, and it was kind of slow. It's been a slow year.
Yeah.
And man, I don't know. It's a crazy story. My wife had got let go from Blue Cross Blue Shield. So it'd been about 2 months, month and a half. And I don't know. Matt and I we've known each other. He was in New York for the month and a half of that Super Bowl run in 2000. It would have been the year, would have been January 2012. Mm-hmm. Then he stayed on there and I had left. But I don't know. It just felt right. And so I really wasn't doing much. And so it's like, let's see what this even is like.
Yeah. So you walk in fresh. You've got that bowl practices. You're meeting these guys for the first time. What'd you think about the crew? What did you think where did you think you fit in best with them, helping them out?
It definitely was up front. I mean, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
I played that position. I've had some incredible coaches. Coach Rhule knows. One of my NFL coaches was a guy named Mike Waffle. Mike Waffle, not a lot of people know him, but he's one of the best defensive line coaches in NFL history. So a lot of my philosophical things come from him, and Matt's very familiar with those. So right away, there was a lot of familiarity. Matt's coached some of the D-line stuff, so like I would say some things and he would say some things, and it would just make sense. Yeah. But one, I knew immediately I had to get to know these kids.
Right.
I don't want to call them kids because they're not. Young adults, I don't know what the term is. But one of the profound things that I learned early in my career, and Michael Strahan said this, and it's one of my favorite things, it's easy being tough with someone else's body. And I'm not going to play football anymore. So how do I convince these young men what I'm teaching them is going to make them better and help them succeed, and letting them know, like, I'm not going out there. My playing career is over, so allow me to help you, and they have to believe that. A lot of that, we use the word belief quite a bit in what we're trying to do, and that's part of it. Is one, get them to believe in themselves, but get them to believe that you're trying to help them be better. So right when I get in there, the players there aren't bad players. Immediately I recognize this, like, and so I'm telling these guys, like, hey, you're playing football at the University of Nebraska.
Yeah,
what an incredible opportunity, and a little bit of that bowl prep stuff to me was, one, getting to know them, but a little bit of like kind of a rehab project. Like, guys, this is an incredible opportunity.
Confidence-wise?
Yeah, and believing in who you are and what you can do and enjoying it. Sometimes we, coaches, the media members, the players even at this point, you're playing a game.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I never – you've probably heard me use this term, but I would always say I was playing a kid's game for a king's ransom. You have to love the game. You cannot get away from that, because then it becomes a job. Yeah. And we all know in the regular working world, jobs can really bring you down.
Sure.
So it can be tough. So for me, the early stages of this, one, do I fit? Do I get along with people? They hire a new staff.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Rob Arch comes in. Now all of a sudden you got new defensive line coach, defensive ends coach, new defensive coordinator.
So that was kind of part of really the next step, was like, am I going to stay?
Yeah.
And I had some real honest conversations with Coach Rhule about that. Like, I get along really well with people. That doesn't mean they're going to like me.
Sure. Yeah.
So part of that is with the staff is guys that enjoy being around each other, because the players are going to see that and they're going to act accordingly. So a little bit of this post bowl game leading up, getting to know Rob. One of the really cool things, Roy Manning, our edges coach, we played together in Green Bay.
Really?
And not that we were there together long,
world, yeah.
But there's a common thread, right?
Yeah.
Rob Orich played for Minnesota Duluth. They played Northwest Missouri State. He's a Division II guy.
Yeah.
Tyler Yelk, our safeties coach, Division II guy. I played Division II football. So that really what kind of happenstance we got this and Corey Brown obviously
had ties with Iowa Western, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we got this group of guys together that all kind of knew each other but didn't really know each other. So there was a common thread. So that worked out. And the bottom line is I know football. I've never coached at a Power 4 school. Rob Orich knows that. Rob had it on this. You got to hire a full-time D-line guy.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
I mean, so recruiting. I didn't graduate college either. I don't know how to use Excel. I don't know how to use PowerPoint. Like
both overrated.
Like Coach Rhule asked me to scout the guys that were on our team during the bowl prep, the D tackles, and I wrote on a piece of paper and took a picture of it and sent it to him. Like, I don't know. Like, what am I going to email it to him? I don't even know what his email is, so.
You're not going to be scanning it. Dave Tollefson joining us here on Let It Fly show. Let me ask you about this. So they come in with the 4-2-5, right?
Yep.
And I talk to people all the time about, we can talk scheme all we want. Defense is about physicality, going out there and playing with your ass on fire every time you go play. What do you think about, first of all, that system coming in and how it fits the bodies you currently have in that room?
I think it fits the guys well. There is a transition, though. The 3-3-5, you're really relying on the athletes behind the D-line to make plays, right? I've never been in a system like that. It's very unfamiliar to me. Yeah. If we were a 3-3-5 defense, I don't know if I could help this team with how I think about defensive play. We have the guys, though. Now it's like getting them comfortable playing on the other side of the line of scrimmage, right? We're definitely, one of the really cool things about where we're currently at is we can see improvement from the guys, but we also have some real clarity on what we need to improve on. That was one of the real important things is like when we get done with spring ball, who are we? Can we do, just like you're asking the things, and yeah, we can do them. We just technique-wise have to grow some more and get them to really understand how the technique gets you to make the plays that you want to make. We're asking our defensive linemen across the board to make plays. And I think in the old scheme, that wasn't necessarily the case. We're kind of block eaters and really getting the second and third level guys clean to make plays, right? So I think a little of it is like, I always tell Von Poppel, feel it, believe it. Like, you're getting to this point. Yeah. Now get off the block and make the play. Like we're not holding the point. We're playing in the backfield, and you're starting to see some of that. And I think that's, again, one of those things that we've gotten some clarity on. Obviously, Jasir Whittington, he's probably a little more comfortable. He played in the front just like this. And he's so twitchy. Yeah, and he schematically and technique-wise, he understands. Riley, since he's been here, hasn't played in a penetrating type front. And then you have Owen Stodmeyer, who played in a three-man front. Yep. But he's got a skill set, heavy hands, right? And then you have really a guy like Sua, who probably fits better in a four-man front, but was playing a three-man front. So he's built some habits that we have to break. It's all about getting these kids to create habits. And that's systematically with the way Coach Woff taught things and the conversations I've had with Corey and Rob that's it. And to create, you got to have spaced repetitions, equal habits equal instincts equal winning. It's all about repetition of doing things. How many reps can we get at something? So one, we can show them what they're doing wrong. Two, we can correct it. And then when they do it right, show them that they're doing it right. Yeah. I like to cook, right? Yep. I'm gonna listen to someone who owns a restaurant and is a professional cook a lot more than I'm gonna listen to somebody who does it. You've done it. Yeah. You see that in the young people understanding that you've been in that spot that they want to get to and they listen better? 100%. It matters. It really does. And part of it is what I said in the beginning of this. It's easy being tough with someone else's body. Guys, I know it's difficult. Yeah. Holding the point in a double team sucks. It's the worst part of our job up front. But if we don't do it, then the backer's not clean. And now if the backer's clean, the offensive lineman is going to go to the sideline. The coach is going to yell at them that they didn't get to the backer. And guess what happens next time? Yeah. They don't hold the double team as long. Sure. So it's like when I say that to him, it's like, oh, coach gets it. He understands. Corey's been there. That's one of the toughest things. But I don't think you have to have played the position to be a great coach. I don't want to say that, but it helps. It's a valued asset when you can tell them that I've been there. One of the other things I love telling the guys too is like, no one here will get their ass kicked more than I did.
Yeah.
It's part of the game.
Right.
But that's how we grow. Failure is the seed of success.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be hung up on our shortcomings, because then we're going to not grow if we're not in the right mindset.
Yeah. Dave Tollefson joining us here. I want to talk about Riley Von Poppel, because I saw things in his freshman year where it made me think, okay, this guy can be as good as Ty Robinson was at Nebraska. And then last year, I didn't necessarily see those things. How much do you think it was to play fast? You got to know it, and you got to think you really know what you're doing.
Yes.
How much was that, or how much was it just the physical aspect of it?
Man, it's interesting you asked this, because obviously I've the last few months I've built a great relationship with Riley, and I really care about him a lot. And I think there is a skill set there. What's really interesting about his case is he was chasing Ty and Nash.
Sure.
And there's something to be said when you're young about trying to hang out with the cool kids. And it makes you do some things and work towards some things that you can be like, oh, because again, Mike, I've been watching this team play since I've retired.
Sure.
As a fan, I've never been to a game at Memorial, which
really,
my first game will be against Ohio. but
that's crazy.
But I've been busy with stuff.
Sure,
but I've always watched the game, and I watched guys up front, and I felt the exact same way you felt about Riley. Like, man, this last season, the production, it was really odd to me. I think part of it is he walked right into a job. He was the best D-tackle.
Sure.
Judy had a different type of skill set, but I do agree. I think Riley was kind of cut from that mold of Nash and Ty. And if you don't have the right people pushing you when you walk right into a job, it can really neuter your growth. Because you're now, as a coach, you have a guy that can do it, so you're going to coach the guys that can't really do it, so you can get them in a position to help the guy. So I think kind of this conglomeration of things kind of happened to Riley. He felt pressure because he was walking into this job. He didn't have anybody to chase anymore. And there wasn't really, I don't know if it was really shown to him what the expectation is. Like, I've had conversations with Riley on the sideline during practice. If you don't make plays, we're going to have a hard time winning games.
Yeah.
Like, and again, that's part of that relationship piece, but he needs to understand.
Right.
You're in a great position to grow your game, and you have to do it. We need you. Yeah. And I think sometimes those type of conversations with these young men is really important. The pressure is real. And that should feed your ability to grow in the right sense, right?
Yeah. So you're growing up in California.
Yep.
How does one in California end up at Northwest Missouri State?
Blonde hair and green eyes, man. Girl named Megan.
I know. That's how I ended up in Nebraska.
Hey.
I understand.
Every time.
Yeah, I get it.
It gets you every time.
It's undefeated.
Yeah, undefeated. So we live in Elkhorn.
Yeah.
Beautiful family. Like I said, 3 boys. We end up here. I played at Northwest Missouri State, and at the time, my senior year was the first national championship game that we went to, and we went to 5 straight, lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And then played in the NFL, and we always had a home here, and I always wanted to live here. And a lot of people ask me why I don't go back to California, and I absolutely love it there. I was just there visiting my buddy Tosh, and I love it here. It's great, man. Mm-hmm. I got a 45-minute drive. I commute to Lincoln. Everybody's like, oh, man, that's crazy. In California, people would beg for
exactly. Yes. You're going down the street, it takes 45 minutes.
Exactly. So it's really not anything to me. And it's just to be that's what's really kind of been part of this experience for me, become part of the Husker coaching staff is part of it is I live in Nebraska now. And it's different, man. This is a different place when it comes to sports.
Sure.
It's college football program, other sports programs, and then the people. They're unbelievable here.
Yeah. What's your middle name, Dave?
Timothy.
See, it's not. It's perseverance. You read your story with the injuries and missing seasons and going to work at construction. And how are you out of the game for 3 years and still willing to chase the dream? I mean, because most people at that point, they're out, man. They're going to do something else. Yeah,
man. We've also talked about the word grit with our team.
Sure.
And sometimes that'll come up. I just always wanted to do my best.
So simple.
Yeah.
It's just so simple.
But it obviously wasn't that simple. But it was. And I didn't turn down opportunities. Mm-hmm. I went to Northwest Missouri State. I walked on. There's a lot of kids who are like, man, I'm not going to walk on to a D2 school. Well, then you're not going to play football anymore.
Right.
Right? Like,
that's it.
I just wanted to be the best that I could be. And I said this to somebody recently. I can't remember who I was talking to about improving and getting better and growing. Mm-hmm. The only year in my life that I didn't get better at football was the last year I played in the NFL. My second to last season in the NFL, I had 5.5 sacks, I think, for the Giants. Best season I ever had. Up until that last season with the Raiders, I had gotten better every single – and that's all I worried about.
Yeah.
Every offseason, every season. What can I do to be better at what I love doing? And that was football. And I enjoyed it. I mean, I talked to you earlier about these guys falling in love with playing at Nebraska. Man, Coach Coughlin, and now some of the coaches are dealing with this who I am, right, at Nebraska. Coach Coughlin was like, David, you're smiling all the time. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah.
Like, I'm in the NFL. Like, this is great, man.
Yeah.
And I think it takes guys some time, and it has at Nebraska. Like, I'm in a good mood most of the time. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah.
I have a great family. My wife's awesome.
Yeah.
My kids are like the coolest guys on earth. I get to coach at Nebraska. When I'm not coaching at Nebraska, I'm like probably fishing with my kids or duck hunting. Yeah. I have a really good dog for duck hunting. Like my life is really good.
Yeah.
And I'm personally, for me, I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with nothing, and I know what that feels like. Even though I enjoyed growing up.
You don't know you don't have
exactly
nothing really when you're.
It's odd. People are like, man, how hard was growing up? I'm like, I had a pretty good time.
Yeah, you think it is.
Yeah, I mean, the powdered milk sucked. But like, okay. Yeah. But I was playing sports. I got to do fun stuff. So I think you think about the way things are nowadays, and it's all about your mental space.
Yep.
I mean, the athletes are better than they've ever been. Life on planet Earth is arguably as good as it's ever been for humans. The world's at your fingertips, right? We could cut that up a million different ways, but joy is an important piece of the human experience.
Yeah.
And I want people around me and myself to enjoy and have joy about what they're doing.
Yeah,
you know?
We're a little bit under 3 weeks away from the NFL draft. You waited almost to the end of the 2006 draft before you got drafted. You got guys like Deshaun McCullough who might get in there, or Sierra Wright, or Sean Singleton. What do you tell those guys about where they might get drafted, that weight, what that means getting drafted, but what it means going forward when you get in the league?
So I think my first day helping for bowl prep, Emmett Johnson grabbed me. And I had never met Emmett. Yeah. Obviously, incredible football player. Now that I know him, like I remember asking, I think EJ's like, is this just like how, he's like, yeah. He's an unbelievable person. Yeah. Like, he found me, and he's like, tell me about it. Tell me about the NFL.
Yeah.
And it sounds crazy. I was like, you're going to get there, and you're going to realize you're good enough really quick. Mm-hmm. It's not – the physical part of it isn't overwhelming. It's the mental piece. Can you keep your mouth shut, and can you do your job? Mm-hmm. Especially when you're not a first or second round pick. You just don't have the leeway. Now, Emmett might end up being a second round pick, but I remember – Jeff Fiegels, he was our punter in New York forever, but that was one of his things that he told me as well. That was such a good piece of advice. Like, if you do your job and keep your mouth shut, you'll find that you have a job for a while. Yeah. And I think for all these dudes, when I talked to a couple of them, they weren't around Singleton and stuff, and those guys I don't think were around during the bowl prep stuff, which is great. Everybody's like, man, should they be here? I'm like, no. Like, they're on to other things in their life, and we get some young guys to get to play. Now, they would have helped against Utah.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
Welcome to coaching in college. Play Utah, Dave.
Yeah,
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, one of the best offenses in college football. Yeah.
We can get into that later, but I'm like, okay, is this gonna work for me? Like, what's going on? So, but this is what I tell them, and you're probably not surprised I'm gonna say this, Mike. When I was playing my senior year, all the scouts came in, and the only question I asked them was, am I going to get a shot? Mm-hmm. They're like, of course, Dave. Free agent. That's all I cared about. You're going to get – if you get an opportunity, you have to take advantage of it. Right. There's so few available, no matter where you're picked. If you're not picked, listen, take notes, do your job, and stay ready. Because availability is the most important ability in the NFL.
Not a doubt.
You have to stay available. And so that's really what I share with those guys. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a shot. Imagine you as a child. This is what I said to him. Telling your 10-year-old self when you're playing football that you're going to have a chance. Not you're going to get drafted. Mm-hmm. That you're just telling your young self that you're going to have a chance to play in the NFL. How would that kid feel?
Yeah.
Probably couldn't sleep at night.
Right. Probably wouldn't believe it. Yeah, at that point of your age.
But look at it that way.
Yeah.
Enjoy it and bust your ass.
Yeah.
It's still football. Listen, this is what I tell the coaches at Nebraska. It all looks different. This is the same crap that Newt Rockne was doing at Notre Dame.
Blocking and tackling.
That's it. It's the same thing.
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Dave Tollefson joining us here on Let It Fly show. You know, one of the things I was thinking about, I'm a draft geek. Okay, I have been since I was a little kid. And what I know about athletes, especially when it comes to scouting combine or pro day, if you're a sub 7'3" cone guy, you are an athlete. You are 6'9", You had one of the better pro days for a guy your size in the country.
Yeah.
Like, what did you train for that? Was that just natural, or how did you have that kind of day? You had an amazing day.
So I'll go back, and I won't make this super long, but before I went to Northwestern Missouri State, I had an opportunity to train with this group called PEPA, Performance Enhancement for Professional Athletes. Charles Woodson trained there as in Alameda, and I got it through my buddy Tosh, which we had talked off there.
Yeah.
Me and
Tosh
Tosh
Lapoy, now the head coach of
Cal. Me and him were in each other's weddings, best friends. I had never trained for speed, explosiveness, but I played men's volleyball in high school. Like I had some traits. Kenny Harrison was my trainer. Kenny Harrison won the triple jump gold medal in the '96 Olympics.
Wow. Yeah.
So I start training there, and I remember him telling me, like, dude, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I got like to 245, ran a 4.5 something in the 40, major broad jump. So I once I learned how to move properly, I kind of had the previous traits. So after my senior year, which I was hurt really bad, I went and trained with a place that trained the same thing. So it's kind of funny. John Dorsey, I think he's like a front office guy for the Lions now. Yeah. He's with the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Before my pro day, he's the head of college scouting for the Green Bay Packers, and he grabs me. He's like, "Don't F this up, Dave. It's a big state." I'll do my best.
Yeah.
But that was such a thing for me because I was considered kind of a stiff guy. Waist bender.
Okay, yeah.
But
heavy-legged waist bender.
But then I go out there. So that was my coach, Coach Wright, for the Northwest Missouri State. He was my D-line coach. He had all these guys coming like, man, he's just kind of stiff. And he'd throw on film. He's like, okay, and how does he run? Guy, this wide receiver he's running down was in the finals in the MIAA in the 100-meter, and he's running him down on a reverse. Like, I get what you're saying, but so my pro day for a small school guy was so important because if I didn't do well, it's because I'm a small school guy and I'm not ready. So I trained my butt off, man. And so I wish I got invited to the combine. I felt like I probably would have got drafted higher. I know at the time my age was a little bit of an issue. I was 24. I turned 25 after the draft. Now it seems like it's not that big of a deal anymore. But no, it was huge. I knew it was important. And I think the really cool thing about now being part of the staff is Matt's been in the NFL.
Sure.
So those types of conversations, listen, your pro day isn't the end-all be-all, but it is going to dictate. They want to match your numbers to your film. The film will always be the most important thing. But if you go out there and take a crap on your pro day, then they're going to go back like, oh, this is why he couldn't do this, right? So, no, I knew for me the 3-cone was going to be really important. Yeah. My 40, obviously the bench ended up going decent, and really the jumping stuff, which the jumping stuff this year was out of control.
Incredible. This is the best. I went back and I scouted. This is the best jumping last 20 years. When you're talking about broad and vert for the amount of guys and the amount over 40 inches.
Yeah.
We've never had this many guys over 40 inches.
So we, at Northwest, and I think really everywhere in the early 2000s, really that heavy squatting was such an important piece. Yeah. And I think now they've got this stuff so honed in. Yeah. To where you're really working on those explosive, because that's something we talked about like we did our winter workouts right into our spring. Right. And I'm like looking around at our guys in the room like, we're strong enough. Mm-hmm. We got to move better.
Yeah. Right.
Like everyone's strong. Like, I mean, if you're playing college football at a Power 4 program, you're probably pretty strong. So now it's like, you look at the best at what they do, they can move. Their feet. It's all in the footwork. My kids wrestle. So, Cade Ziola.
Yeah.
He's at Nebraska now. I've known Cade forever. I coached his little brother in youth football, Ben. Watch Cade's feet. You watch the best at everything they do. It's their footwork.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody's strong. I remember
Olajuwon, great feet.
Yes. They all have great feet in basketball, everybody. So, like, I remember running to Cam Jordan one time at Tasha's wedding. I'm like, how's off-season weights going? He's like, I don't really lift weights. I'm like, what do you I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like, lifting, I had to. And he's like, man, I'm strong enough.
Yeah.
I bench 500, bench 450, squat 600. Like, I need to be able to move and stay available. So I think the training has really transitioned to where, like, Jordan Vandenberg, he played at Iowa Western. You saw his pro.
Sure.
I mean, like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
He ran a 4.19 pro agility at 320 pounds. Like, that's incredible. But the training has gotten so good.
I think the reason why Cam Jordan is playing the way he's playing now at this age is because of the fact that pliability, being flexible, it's probably kept him younger than using those joints. You know,
Justin Tuck, when I was playing in New York, he was involved with some of that early. Like, he had this system in his living room, and he would do these movements.
Yeah.
It was just about being flexible. One, probably the most important thing, so you don't get hurt.
Yes, exactly. Injury prevention.
But two, if you look at any of those movements, I talk about the apex of the rush, and every great rush has shoulder turn.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to turn and get off a block, like, I have to have some hip flexibility and ankle flexion. They use all these words, right? Like, we're doing all like the transfer portal stuff, and like they're using. I'm like, guys, can he bend?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, I get it, like ankle flexion. Like,
I'm
like, you guys just use those words because you heard them somewhere. Like, you really don't even know what it means.
Dave Tollefson joining us. You were talking about something earlier about enjoying your job and joy. I had a guy when I worked first in TV. I was in Albuquerque at the time, and this guy had been in TV 40 years. And he said, "I'll tell you this: if noon on Sunday, you're starting to think about Monday, you need to get a new job."
Yep.
Right. And so I think kind of with football too, once you got past the game, which is the fun thing, can you enjoy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is the hard part, right? If you can enjoy that, the rest of it's got to be easy.
And that's how you grow. I mean, it really is. Like, it's not easy. And that again, philosophically, coming really kind of from the youth stuff, that's really where I love coaching middle school football because, like, these kids just love being out there and doing their thing. But it's like, football's hard.
Oh, yeah.
And as coaches, I'll remind guys, you don't have to make it more difficult. We're trying to make it easier for them. That's our job, is we're trying to find out what they have a tough time with and help them fix that and make their job easier. Not yell, scream, they're not good enough. It's like you're kind of losing yourself in what you're trying to do when you get like that.
Yeah. I know you experienced it as a player, but what's it like for your defensive line having to deal with Anthony Calandria back there?
Pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And Rob Orch, which I absolutely love working for Rob. He's great. And after a spring practice, he comes in there. He's like, man, this kid's driving me crazy.
You played against Vic, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, but it was I was the slowest DN on the team and I ran a 4.6.
Yeah,
like running,
athletes,
running. That's really for me been a little bit of a transition. Because I honestly believe, like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, if you want to put pressure on a guy like Calandria, he's probably going to get loose.
Sure.
It's really difficult.
It's a combination mush. And,
how we don't have anybody up front that could probably run him down in a foot race, right? So, like, how are we going to force him to do things but put pressure on him? Probably not get sacks, but he's been a total pain in the ass, which is great.
Yeah,
It's hard when you're installing a defense. And then you got to play against a guy who's the leading rushing quarterback in the country last year, right? But Washington, Price, right? He can run the ball.
Oh, Demond can run.
I mean, so you're talking about the best guys that we're going to play against can run.
Yep.
So on one hand, we need it. But on the other hand, like, we're just trying to get our defense to line up properly.
Yeah.
So it could be tough. But, dude, Calandria has been great, man. He's just – you're talking about adding a different – again, I brought it up earlier, playing against Utah. Immense respect for Dampier, right? Their quarterback.
Yep.
Probably won't play quarterback in the NFL. That's not anything against him. He's 5'10". Sure. He's a great player. Right. But, like, what a pain to deal with. Like, and in college, you have to have a guy like that can run. That can run and create plays. Pavia.
Diego Pavia just made so many people look silly. And he wasn't even that fast.
No.
He just made you miss.
And the receivers matched when he would run. I mean,
exactly.
So, it's such an important piece. And again, it sucks practicing against it, but we have to.
Right.
We got to understand, your fits in the rush game matter more than ever because if you let this guy run, he's going to hurt you no matter what. So, it sucked, but it's been awesome. It's been great.
You bring a guy like Chambliss in, or even McCullough, guys who played in the system before. How helpful have they been with the other guys to make sure they can understand our system?
Huge. Now, Rob's system, at least up front, isn't overly complicated. I think the coverage stuff is. So for them,
a lot of switching.
Well, and it's we're always going to kind of look the way we look, and then we want to get to where we get at. So that's kind of. So when he came in and he was up, Calamity was driving him crazy. It's not even really from a front end standpoint. We know we have to get better at what we call maybe some cage rushes and stuff like that. But really on the back end, some of our match coverage stuff, it just gets difficult when you have a guy running around like that. Now, Owen's been great. And I think, man, it was so interesting going and visiting kind of what Tosh was doing at Cal because it's a little different philosophically, which I won't get into, but it's something that I'm going to visit with Rob about and stuff like that. Yeah. But so do you pour this is the crux of installing an entire new way of doing things. Do you give it all to them and let the mistakes happen? Or do you just baby feed them so they understand what we're trying to do?
Right.
So I think a little bit was kind of trying to do both because you really you want to stress them out a little bit.
Sure.
You kind of have to because they have to understand if you don't do this right, this is what's going to happen. So you kind of fall in this middle. But Owen. Man, Owen's been you talking about a guy that's could be a doctor, right?
Really?
I mean, he's an absolute genius. So I think
what's fascinating about him is one of the few guys that he's standing up pre-snap. He's not in any kind of athletic position. He's standing up. And then I look away on tape, the play's away from him and he's making the play. And I'm like, how did he get in a position? He's just a natural runner, natural chase guy.
I think for him, he reminds me a lot of myself in some ways because I moved from that Mike position in junior college to defensive end. And so, I was always the last one in my stance because I was trying to get as much information pre-snap as possible.
That makes sense.
And I think that's what they kind of give. They want us ready. I mean, you got to be ready in the stance, but you're right. Sometimes you're like, what's going on? And then he's taking off running, right? He had a little bit of a foot issue, but that's the type of kid Owen is. He's like, I have to be out there.
Sure.
If I'm the transition guy from San Diego State to help Coach Orich install stuff, I can't miss days. I have to help everyone on the field understand what we're trying to do. So that speaks to the type of kid that he is. But it's he's just absorbing it all because he wants to be able to make one decision and one decision only. And you talk about teaching these guys the defense. You want it slow. What do I say? Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
I want to make one decision, and it's the right decision. Instead of making 4 during the snap, if I can get as much information pre-snap as I can, then it allows me to take my time, which is counterintuitive, but again, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
So once he does initially get in his stance, which is maybe half a second before the snap, he pretty much knows already where he's going, right? So it allows him to play at a speed that really doesn't match the pre-snap, speed that you think he would have to make that, right?
Yeah. He stands like Ashton Genty.
Yeah.
He's just standing up there. You're like, okay, what's going to happen? And then he's just gone.
And then you got guys like Foster and V9 who are opposite, hair trigger.
Itching to go,
And then you got this guy kind of figuring out where he's going to get. But it's been great, man. McDougal's been awesome too. We've moved some guys around trying to see where they fit. Donnie Jones, we got him we've moved him a little bit back down in the box. He's such a physical guy. Tried him at safety.
Yeah.
And we put Khan at safety, I think. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
I'm still trying to get
Khan,
trying to get guys to I'm trying to get to know
Jamal
guys.
Charles started at corner. He hadn't started in corner since his freshman year against UCLA.
Yeah.
Lasted about 10 plays, and they pulled him. That kid's a hell of an athlete.
Yeah, and that's kind of been where it's our job, and that's what I love, Rob. And maybe some of it is the D2 in all of us. Let's get these guys into the best spot for them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's not force guys to play positions that they're not necessarily that good at. Because then Because that's such a, and I'm going to cuss. Am I allowed to cuss?
No,
a little
yeah,
bit?
you're fine.
It's such a chicken shit thing to blame a kid for doing something he can't do.
Right.
So again, talking about all the stuff we've had to do in the spring. 1, install defense. 2, who can do what.
Yeah.
Guys that get banged up. We lost Bauer, which sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a kid that we were going to rely on to help us. So then who can fill in there? Who are our guys up front?
Right.
D tackle, what you need 10 D linemen in the Big Ten, right? We need a 2.5 deep, right? Who are they? Let's get them reps with the bit. Anybody can kick some guy's butt that doesn't play it a lot, but can Tyson Terry, can he run with the big dogs?
Yeah.
We got to see what some of these young guys can do.
Who I kind of like a little bit because of his size is Dylan Parrott. He's just
he's such a
human.
Big guy.
He's
And
so huge.
so I love Dylan. Love him. And we just did our body fat stuff. Mm-hmm. He was 17% at 320.
Seriously.
Unbelievable.
Damn.
I'm not 17%.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, but yeah.
But Dylan's a guy, again, we talk about their superpowers. Strongest guy on the team.
Yeah.
I want you to move your feet, which he's got to get comfortable with. He's been playing in this defense prior. That's more of a mirror step, which fits him really well. But, man, when he moves forward and presses,
I bet.
he's unblockable.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's him believing that. You got to believe in what you can do. You're strong. Use that.
Yeah.
Dylan, I don't want to ever see you chop clubbing and pass rushing. I want you to grab the guy, push him backwards, and get But it's, again, I come from a spot where I had a skill set. Mike, I wasn't doing what OC did.
No, sure.
So they can believe me. I'm like, guys, I want you to be successful. If you trust that I'm telling you this is what you're good at and do it, just Sear's going to do things different than Riley.
Sure.
I mean, which I love when you see him out there, right? It's like, you can tell right away.
Yeah.
But let's love that up.
Yeah.
Let's get them. That's a problem for offenses. I don't want a group in the D-line room that all looks the same.
Yeah.
I want to create issues up front with different types of bodies and different skill sets, right?
Weird question here, but was it hard for them to find a helmet for Justin Tuck? His head was so skinny compared to his body.
We call him a cone head.
Yeah, it's just like his whole frame was just unique.
And we called him Big Midget because he's got like shorter arms for a taller guy.
Right.
We had so many nicknames for Justin. I call him Tuckosaurus Rex because his
little arms. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
man.
but no, he. And you know what's funny is who was I talking about the other day? That reminds me a little bit of Justin, kind of the way that he does things. So Justin, we called him Gumby because he would get hit and he'd bend in a really uncoordinated way, but he'd never get knocked down.
Right, yeah.
Man, I was talking about, I'm pretty sure it was somebody on our defensive line. I'm trying to think about who I was talking about. Give me a little bit and maybe I'll think about it.
Wasn't Sua.
No, it wasn't
No.
It wasn't Sua.
One of the younger guys?
Oh, Malcolm Simpson.
Oh, yeah. That's a good. Yeah, I should have thought of that. Yeah.
Malcolm will do some athletic things that are so uncanny that normal humans would get hurt doing that. He'll take on blocks and post with one leg but not get moved, and you're like, dude, I would blow everything out in my leg and break it,
Yeah.
But
we were all looking for. Everybody was disappointed last year when he got injured because you could tell as a true freshman he was going to contribute.
Yeah, no, he's got, but that's the great thing in Corey Brown. Me and Corey have got along so good, which has been great. Which was again part of getting into this. Was I've never met Corey. I know him. I know what he's done, but me and him have got along really well.
Coach Stroh loves him. He talked him up a lot.
Stroh's the man.
Yeah, we just gave Stroh an award Thursday night for the mentorship award.
The man.
We just gave it to him. Yeah, he's a great dude.
Mike Blackburn, man, what they do over at Iowa Western is unbelievable.
Yep.
That was some of my favorite football I've ever coached in my life. Really? It was so fun, and they do an incredible job. So, but yeah, Malcolm. But again, this is what's so tough about defensive line and being in the Big Ten. We got the young kid coming in from Louisiana. The 4-star kid, why am I forgetting his name?
I don't know, I'm
he's going to be a freshman.
Okay.
Barrymore.
Oh, yeah, Dylan Barrymore. Yeah, got it. Completely forgot about him.
Wasn't here
in the spring, right?
High school film.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like a snuff film. I feel bad for these kids he's going against.
He's so much bigger than everybody. Yeah.
How does that translate?
Right.
You going to run through guards in the Big Ten? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right? So, for defensive line, it's such a, and I'm not trying to dog anybody, but in high school, it's such a poorly coached position. Some of that is because typically the D-line coach is the O-line coach, and you have to spend more time coaching the O-line in high school than the D-line. You just put a big guy in there and you have him run through people. But if you don't use your hands in the Big Ten, you're going to get destroyed.
Right.
Like, this is as close of a thing to NFL football as there is up front when it comes to D-line and O-line. So, like, you hope Dylan comes in, right, and is ready.
And in good shape. Yeah.
Well, he's probably not going to be in great shape. Like, I mean, I wasn't when I was that age. Like, let's be honest with ourselves.
You come from California, not Louisiana.
Yeah, but I mean, 100%. 100%. But, like, should we be relying that much on our freshmen coming in? And if you do, what worries me is it stunts his growth. Right? You put so much pressure on him to do things that he eventually can't handle the pressures of this, and you end up slowing him down for a year on top of the year that you're already developing. So that was one of the big things with this spring ball. With me and Corey was like, all right, can we get this room to a place where when we had Dylan, he's an extra.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have. Right. I feel like we have. We got 4 or 5 guys up front that know what they're doing. Now it's just a matter of developing those dudes' shortcomings. We know what they do well. Let's get what they have a hard time doing and make that better. So then we're not dealing with so much on the back end of what they can't do, you know?
Before we let you go, so this has been a really weird offseason. I've been here since 2002. There really hasn't been a time where people are as disenfranchised as they are about the program. They look at the schedule and all this stuff. Being in the middle of it, talk to us about how maybe this team is better than we think, that maybe the media is talking about or the fans feel based off of what you're seeing in practice and on the field.
I think we have a group of young men that love football and work extremely hard, which in my opinion bodes well for how that team's going to perform. Now, we still got to play.
Sure.
I mean, I think if I were to sit up here and say, we're going to win this many games, but you've been in this game long enough, you know I'm not going to say that. I think if we continue to grow the way that we have and we're focused on football, I think I can totally understand from the outside in, because I was on the outside. This does feel different than any spring ball that I've been used to. But football was the most important thing in the building.
Yeah.
What do we have to do better to make our team better at football? Because we watched some of last year's stuff with Coach Rhule. He brought it up. And entire staff meetings, like, where do you think we're coming up short? Because that wasn't a bad team last year. There were just some situations where things didn't go the way that they wanted to. Now, my argument is you should never hope things work out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the focus piece in the football. We have to dictate the terms. Now, sometimes you're going to play teams that do that and are better than you, which I think as a fan base, having lived in Nebraska, that's not the problem. We know we have to get better. And if we're going to compete at the top of the Big Ten, we have to get better. This year, we have to get better. We're going to have to get better for perpetuity to compete, because they're going to do that.
Right.
But I will say this, for the people for the state of Nebraska, this is a team that's focused on football, that for me personally, teams that are focused on that, and it reminds me a little bit of the teams that I played in New York with Tom Coughlin. We worried about what we were doing in the building, and that's it, period. We got a lot of kids that love football and that are focused on that and want to compete to get better. And how that all shakes out, I will tell you, there's one thing that I guarantee you, we're going to find out.
That's true. Yeah.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
And whether we're on the right path or not, which I wholeheartedly believe, or I wouldn't be a part of this coaching staff, we're going to find out, and we're going to have dudes that are willing to do things that are difficult to get things done on the football field, because you're going to have to do something you don't like. Football is a battle of wills, and it might be you getting double teamed all game. It sucks, but are you willing to be in your gap for 40 snaps against Iowa, and it sucks, and we potentially win by 3 points, 9-7 or whatever with an Iowa game? Are you willing to bear that burden for a 4-quarter game?
You know what? They are. They're willing as hell to do it. They do it every year, and they come into that game, and they want to beat Nebraska more than anything in the world. Nebraska has to think the same way. We want to beat them more than anything in the world.
You gotta be comfortable doing the uncomfortable.
Doing the uncomfortable things.
That's it.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, keep your mouth shut, do your job.
That's it.
There you go. Man, thank you.
Hey, pleasure.
Long putting this together,
Yeah,
but I
for
appreciate
sure.
you taking the time. Dave Tollefson here on Let It Fly Show. All right, welcome back to Let It Fly Show. Thank you to Dave Tollefson for coming on with us and talking some Nebraska football. And as I said, this is a guy with an amazing story. You know, a lot of guys get injured in all kinds of sports, and they battle back, and some have success. Some decide, you know what, it's not worth it. I'm going to move on in my life. I'm going to go do something else. But to grab onto a dream and hold onto that dream for that long is truly an amazing story. We appreciate Dave coming on and talking about it with us. Next week on the show, I don't know who the guest is, but it's going to be one of the more interesting Aprils that we've had in a long time. Now that college basketball is done, and, you know, spring football, which is normally still going at this time for Nebraska, is done. Already had a spring game. What's up next kind of in the sports world is the NFL draft. And if you know me, I'm a big fan of the NFL draft. A guy that we had on in the past, Tim Verghese, also big NFL draft guy. We're thinking about doing a draft pod where we just kind of break down not just the Nebraska players and where they may go or just the Big Ten players, but kind of do a run through of that first round and getting the players we like and who we think are going to be good and kind of take a deep dive into that draft. I think that would be fun to do with Tim Verghese at some point, either this week or next week before we get into the actual NFL draft, which I believe starts on the 23rd of April. Special thanks to our producer, Caleb, for running the show. Mike Allen, general manager of this whole thing, taking care of that as executive producer, and our video team at Stable Gray. And as always, a big thanks to our presenting sponsor, Bud Light, making things easy to drink, easy to enjoy, no matter where you are in Nebraska. And remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe and like to the product. We appreciate that. If you're watching or listening on Spotify or Apple, you can like and subscribe there as well. And comment if you like as well, so we know that you are listening. It really helps the show. We appreciate you joining us this week. We're back next week with more Let It Fly.